Welcome everyone, and thank you for taking the time today to join us on our webinar organized by the DALIM Users Organization, or DUO for short. My name is Graham Blanks and I'm the Director of Business Operations for DALIM Software here in North America. Today's webinar is the fourth in the first series of webinars titled Do More with Less that we've been hosting, and this webinar today will be focusing on print. We put together a great panel of industry professionals with many years of experience in the printing industry, and they'll be sharing some of their thoughts and insights around today's topic. So let me start out by introducing our panelists. We have Carol Verley, who will be giving us a brief message to get the ball rolling. He is the CEO of DALIM Software. We have Martin Maloney, who is the Executive Vice President at the Printing Industries Alliance and a great advocate for Print Drives America. And then we have Jen Weinberg, who's an application specialist at IWCO Direct. I'll let each of the panelists introduce themselves and their background in a bit more detail, but we'll get started with you, Carol. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Graham. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around this world, and welcome to our Do On Air session. Today is basically the fourth episode, as Graham was saying it, of our Do On Air. We have the pleasure actually to speak about print, and we will actually see how print drives America. And this visual will give you a little hint of the themes of our next season. And instead of taking you actually physically to New Orleans, which this could have been the backdrop, an empty Bourbon Street, we have elected actually to go online. And we took you over the past episodes from Chicago, which you see right here, to Munich, then to London, where we were last week with Mark McGuire from SDL. And we are going today first to New York, and that replaces basically what our events are normally. You see here a few pictures of what our URDUO was last year in Lisbon, in Portugal. We like to take care of our audience in a somewhat different way, so we are actually fortunate to be able to do it online, and that's actually only a small compensation for what it is going to be to see all of you again, hopefully in not too long of a time. And meanwhile, let's go back to New York. You know, in New York, we have lots of friends that have been actually publishing magazine here at the Hearst Tower on the right-hand side on the slides, publishing lots of magazines which are today actually in high demand, even though the advertisement is decreasing, but those magazines get delivered still every day. And if you're a subscriber, they come to your door with the USPS, which is basically the second large organization we're going to talk about today. United States Post Office was founded in the 1700s. You may want to remember that Benjamin Franklin was the first Postmaster General. And the USPS today employs more than 600,000 employees and are actually present all around the country, especially in times like that. It's also interesting to know that they're delivering beyond magazine, also direct mail and all sorts of mail. So our second speaker from Minneapolis this time, which you can see here on the beautiful background image, Jen is going to tell you about you know, what we could contribute to the delivery of email with a quite innovating formula that is called USPS Certified Delivery. But since this is Do On Air and this is just not like just another webinar, we just want to raise your attention to a next season that is going to start on May 19th. We will be speaking about motorsports, so it's going to be quite amazing with motorsport specialized photo studios, and also the story of a bike that came out of a comic book to basically land on the real streets. So we look forward to see you at the season 2, and you have the coming weeks to register. But because this webinar is different, we also do want to make it with a print touch. And that print touch is never better represented than with a magazine. In the course of this first season of our webinars, we have gathered no less than 1,000 addresses of people requesting the magazine to be shipped to their door. So we are going to be busy the coming weeks to send that very magazine you see in front of you to your door. And that will be possible if you have not registered yet into the follow-up email that you will receive from this webinar, and we'll add your address to the already 1,000 addresses we are sending it to. Quantum, which you see on that table of content, is going to print for United States, and Bodadruk, which you see on page 40 right there, is going to print for Europe. Those shipments will go out, and if everything goes according to our plan, you should get your magazine delivered either at your door home, if you're home and you have given us your address. In that case, it will be personalized, or it will be delivered by default to your company address, where you will hopefully be able to go back as soon as we possibly can hope. Meanwhile, I thank you for joining our webinar. I'm asking you to stay tuned and to keep safe in your respective countries. And I look forward to hear from first Martin. Graham, it's back to you.
Thank you, Carol. Just curious, where are you joining us from today?
I am actually at the office, and what you could see behind me is already a hint on what we will actually talk about at our next season. This is a comic books strip that will tell you a little more about the motorbike that will be at the center of discussion for the next season.
All right. Well, thank you, Carol. Marty, over to you. You should have control of the slide presentation.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Let me see now how I get my slides.
You can just select and then just select again, click again. There you go.
All right, good. So today, my job is to talk about print and give you some of the true facts about print. And we're finding that it's much more positive than people ever thought. And we'll be talking about some of the items that have been barriers to print, and such as the perceived size and whether it's environmentally friendly or not, and how wide is the demographic audience, and how much has it evolved. So we're going to cover all those items. And first, I just wanted to mention that okay, so print is the largest communication media of all, and basically what that means is that print is an aggregate. It is made up of many things, not just one. As Carol just referred to, magazines are very prominent. Newspapers, of course, inserts, very popular today. Inserts are everywhere in magazines and newspapers. Even in those Amazon packages that come, it's a package insert, been around for a while, but is very obvious today. Books doing better than ever before. Direct mail is through the roof. Labels and packaging. Labels and packaging, as it refers to printing, has now exceeded $1 trillion just starting this year. We have out of home, we have signage, catalogs, corrugated. Corrugated is another curious one. Corrugated has gone through the roof because of Amazon. So it is amazing. Those of you who live in apartment buildings have probably noticed an influx of more cartons than ever. And the last item, of course, is collateral. So the dozen of forms of print together in the aggregate make print the largest communication media of all. So that's the basically talks about size, and this is an ad that's print is colossal, and it makes the point. Now I'm just going to switch to just zoom in on the copy block. All right, so what happens here is we're talking about colossal in the size of that everything is larger than the internet and broadcast and everything combined, and that it prompts millions to make daily decisions and purchases. And this labels and packaging, as I said, have reached $1 trillion. Direct mail, the resurgence has become viral. Printed books are climbing, and downloads are well down. It's amazing. Amazon is only 10 years old, and it first came out books only 10 years ago. And of course, they had their Kindle. And if you're familiar with the shape of the bell curve, the popularity of that went right up the side of the bell, and then it kind of leveled at the top, and then it started to come back down a little bit. So in the last 6 years, downloads are down 17%, and printed books are up 6% each year for the last 6 years. So again, that's a pretty good sign of the size of print. Next, we have print is green. This is my favorite ad only because it appeared 2 months ago in the Wall Street Journal. We were very fortunate to get a half-page ad in the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal has 1 million print subscribers, and the cost of a half-page ad in the Wall Street Journal on a weekday is $500,000, and we didn't have to pay it, thank God, and we had a good friend there, and but the response to this ad has been incredible. So if we just look at the close-up of the copy, print, of course, is recyclable, it's renewable, but then we get to that carbon footprint. The use of energy in print is the touch of ink to paper versus online, where 24/7 energy is used to transmit data amongst millions of devices, which all quickly become permanent landfill. And another issue is, there used to be a thing in the United States where direct mail companies would say, pay online, save a tree. And there's no need to save a tree. That's been decided, and people have stopped doing that, making that there are more trees in North America than there was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So think of vegetables, think of broccoli. Trees grown specifically for paper are harvested and replanted just like vegetables. So another one of my favorites, print is cool, and we're talking about here the demographics and the range of demographics. So again, if we click on the copy block, Generation Z, that's that generation which is 24 years of age and below. So we're talking basically the high schoolers, the college students, and then we go to millennials and the boomers and so forth. Everybody seems to be getting back to print, but especially that Generation Z, they prefer it. I think every generation is the same. They act differently than the generations before them. But frankly, they think that printed books and calendars and catalogs and direct mail and so forth are cool, and they prefer direct mail and advertising inserts over the interruption of digital advertising. Excuse me, I'm saying something very biased here. Digital fatigue is upon us, and I think there's digital doubt or disappointment as well. So we take our next one, and this is kind of interesting. It's print is high tech, and what is it that we mean by that? It's that copy block once more. So here we got, it's more and more high tech than ever before. The companies like DALIM and IWCO and their tools have made printing extremely high tech. In the last 25 years of digital printing came in 1993 with Indigo and Zycon, and has been growing steadily since. And variable data has become an extremely important part. And basically it provides that targeting that marketers want. And now the direct mail is probably the best targeting tool of any, and it can be done extremely, extremely well. And surprisingly, we discussed yesterday that some printers have even more programmers than press operators. So as you can see, the dimension of mail and the adaptation of it has changed dramatically. So just to wrap up a little bit here, we got, so today many print segments as I said before, have gone through the roof. Packaging and labels, books, inserts, and direct mail, probably more so than ever. Print is colossal. It has an amazing size, bigger than everything else. It is green, very environmentally friendly. It is cool, meaning it does go across a lot of demographics, and it's extremely high tech today. And so now that all the barriers have been removed, print is easily seen as a medium that works well and provides amazing results. So print does drive America. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Very informative. Just a reminder to all of the attendees, there is a panel on your a control panel to the right of your display that allows you to ask questions. We will have a Q&A session at the conclusion of the different presenters. So Marty, thank you again. We'll have some questions for you at the end, and now I'll pass it over to Jen from IWCO Direct.
Well, happy Cinco de Mayo from beautiful downtown Minneapolis.
Cool.
I'm Jen Weinberg, and I'm an applications engineer at IWCO Direct. So what does it mean to be an applications engineer? Well, I don't engineer applications specifically. I'm actually part of a team that engineers solutions, and they utilize a variety of software applications to create those solutions. And I help to design processes to overcome the challenges of our everyday business. And it sometimes means designing workflows in a software solution like DALIM ES and eTWIST. And it sometimes means plugging a variety of systems together to develop a multi-platform solution. And that's what, like the one we'll discuss today. And each software application has a designated subject matter expert at IWCO Direct. And I am the SME subject matter expert for DALIM ES at IWCO Direct, and also on the DUO committee. And as you can imagine, being in this role, I'm a doer. I'm not a sales or communication expert. I'm way more comfortable sitting at a coding at a keyboard than I am public speaking in a forum like this. So if I say and a lot, please forgive me. It's just not my natural environment. When DALIM asked me to be a speaker in this Duo on Air web conference, I thought it might just be worth getting out of my comfort zone to share our success story in developing a solution for the United States Postal Service's Informed Delivery Program. Okay, enough about me. Let's talk about the project. There we go. So what we're going to go through basically is let you know who IWCO Direct is, and then what Informed Delivery is, talk about the scope of the project that we're covering, and then what the role of DALIM's ES and eTWIST was, and then what the outcomes were at the end. So first off, who is IWCO Direct? IWCO Direct is a direct mail and direct marketing services company, and we offer strategy, creative, and execution, and basically helping you find customers, engage your customers, and create the direct mail, whether it's on paper or on pixels, some combination of the two, to power your campaigns. And we have a proprietary intelligence model, responsive service, and a range of direct marketing services that have been tested and trusted for more than 50 years. I selected a few of our customers just to give you a sense of the kinds of companies that we service, just some you might recognize. And our vertical expertise, generally speaking, is financial services, healthcare, insurance. So basically everything that's high security. That's another area for us that we have to be really cautious about our data because of all these you know, the financials, the healthcares, and the insurance industries all have high security requirements. We also do loyalty, retail, telecom, travel, many other types of industries, but this gives you an idea. And I thought I'd throw a few fun facts at you about IWCO Direct. The main campus is in Chanhassen, Minnesota, less than a mile from Paisley Park for you Prince fans out there. That is Prince's studio and museum. And sometimes DALIM has the good fortune to visit Minnesota during our famously brutal Minnesota winters. And I don't know if Raphael's on. I think he might be on vacation. But for those of you who know Raphael, he actually had the chance to prove that he can really walk on water, at least when it's frozen. So that was fun. And we have additional facilities in Little Falls, Minnesota, as well as Hamburg and Warminster, Pennsylvania. And no, I don't mean Hamburg, Germany. Hamburg, Pennsylvania is a small town, about 4,000 people or so. And we are the largest direct mailer in the United States. We mailed over 4 billion pieces in 2019, to give you a sense of scale. And to even give you a larger sense of scale, each of those mail pieces can comprise multiple printed components. They can include the pre-printed forms. They can include highly variable letters, inserts, affixed cards, with variable print. The envelopes can be variably printed, or they can be self-mailers, so that each of those mail pieces can account for multiple printed components. And we do all of them in-house. So we print a variety of materials to create our output. And as I mentioned, every printed component can be highly personalized with variable data and imaging, which means that we go through a lot of images. We use ES and eTWIST to manage tens of thousands of digital assets per month. So what, especially you Europeans out there, are wondering what the heck is informed delivery, right? Well, in 2017, the United States Postal Service was looking to join the digital age, and they launched a new service called Informed Delivery by USPS, trademark. And basically, you can digitally preview your mail and manage your packages that are scheduled to arrive soon. It gives you either an email or via a web portal. You have your choice, or you can do both. To view your grayscale images of the exterior address size of a letter size mail piece and track your packages. There will be a list of packages below your mail to tell you what's coming soon. And it's a way to kind of engage users and let them know what's in their mailbox. Well, there's an even better version of this. Business mailers can actually offer an interactive campaign to their consumers. So they basically add that respond now type of call to action image that links them to a website and drives them to additional consumer impressions, interactions, and insights, and lets them seek more information about that company or that mail piece. So this all seems like a great idea, right? And actually, with a 70% email open rate, the service was really successful. And if you think about it, the average open rate for email marketing emails is only about 21%. So that's an excellent open rate. But the digital marketing features weren't really widely accepted at first. They weren't adopted by a lot of business mailers or customers. So they were just getting that grayscale image and no additional touches. So in 2019, the USPS ran a promotion to increase the adoption rate of that additional interactive feature. And they offered as an incentive a 2% postal discount for mailings that participated in the program. And 2% may not sound like a lot, but when you're mailing millions of mail pieces, that could really add up quick. So customers really wanted to take advantage of this program. And there's a huge list of requirements around how to execute this promotion, and including mailer information, mail piece information, campaign information. There's a whole bunch of things that were challenging for mailers to meet those requirements, and we're trying to do it with humongous volumes. And so we're like, how are we going to do that? This is the problem that we were faced with. And of course, the only way we're going to be able to do it effectively with large volumes like that is going to be automation. So how do we automate the process for this project? So the scope of the project was to build, the goal really was to build a single seamless automated workflow for the processing of informed delivery jobs. And the workflow should accommodate internal job management needs, starting with the client services team, moving all the way through data processing, asset management, and ending with the final submission via a mail.dat delivery into Postal One, which is the USPS's portal that delivers the content. And we wanted to utilize as many existing tools that we already had in place within other workflows and systems, and but we realized a new web portal would need to be created to tie all the information together across all sites uniformly. So we had quite the challenge at hand. It would require several departments working together to deliver this solution: sales, client services, pre-media, which is our creative and pre-flight and all that departments, and content development, which is our programming department. And in theory, it's some pretty basic steps. You receive the order, you enter the data into basically the job data, you process the mailing data, you create images, you get approval, and you deliver it to the United States Post Office. Seems pretty straightforward and simple, right? But you're realizing that you're plugging together several existing IWCO systems, and you're actually having to create a new one that's going to help to unify them all. How are we going to get all these to talk to each other to allow it to be automated? And systems that we were going to need to bring together include DALIM ES and eTWIST for digital asset management, Inspire Approval for client-facing approval, Monarch Foundation, which is our ERP/MIS system, Postal One, which is the USPS portal that allows for automated rather than manual upload, and Inspire Automation, which allows automatic tasks in the Inspire suite of products, including designer to approval, that sort of thing. And this new web portal for informed delivery specifically that we're creating. So this is a little bit more complicated than the simple steps would lead you to believe. And so how did DALIM ES and eTWIST fit into this process? So here's a brief walkthrough of how we used ES and eTWIST to deliver the images required for this project. This is what the workflow looks like. You can see that it's a pretty straightforward workflow. If everything goes right, it goes through one of two eTWIST steps based on some logic, but it has a bunch of fail safes for making sure we don't make mistakes. And then it also has some processes that allow for automatic archiving and, Is everyone getting some feedback? I don't think that's on my end. Okay. Anyway, for automatic archiving and deletion of the assets. And basically, we're going to do a quick walkthrough of how this was done and what we included in that workflow. We started off with a hot folder delivery. And that was because one key goal was to make this process as simple as possible and to require no additional ES user training. And hot folder ingestion made this possible. They were able to just drop it into a folder and not learn how to use ES or get a new login or anything like that. That was key. It was decided to make it a file name driven process. Using tight naming conventions allows assets to be processed automatically through the correct eTWIST workflow, but using the requirements for ride-along images versus representative images. So that allowed for easy processing automatically. We put in a few safeguards in place to prevent errors. Basically, if there was an invalid file name that didn't allow it to know which workflow to send it through, that would be rejected and an automatic email would be sent. And we added a scripted status check. It's checking the status of the proof to avoid replacement of a sharing URL that's already in use. Obviously, if it's already in use, you need to keep it live. If you're replacing it, it's going to blow the old link away and it's not going to work anymore. So if the asset is new or is an update needed status in our approval tool, it's allowed to be processed. And if the asset has already been submitted and it's not in an update needed status, it's put on hold and email notifications are sent. Can you guys still hear me? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Fine.
Okay. Okay. So email notifications are sent if it's rejected. As far as eTWIST is concerned, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm getting a lot of feedback, but I'm going to try to talk through it. eTWIST workflows basically check the images for the appropriate size, resolution, and image type. And assets that don't meet the requirements are converted if possible, or they're rejected if they can't be converted and email notifications are sent. Sharing URLs are actually created in the workflow, and they really set us apart from all the other mailers because we were able to automate the delivery while still maintaining security because these links are secure links. And our solution was actually recognized by the USPS as the industry leader, and these secure links made this all possible. So they were key. And they're created by ES and written to the metadata to be able to use them to generate proofs for our approval tool and to automate the uploads to USPS. And we used API calls to pull the asset names and the associating sharing URLs from the ES database into our portal. So between the API calls and the sharing URLs, the power of DALIM actually was key. And for retention, we wrote expiration dates into the metadata and used a trigger to completely automate the archiving and deletion process. Okay, and so what are the results of all this workflow? So in the end, we created a single seamless, highly automated workflow to manage informed delivery projects from end to end. Our web portal gathers job info, DALIM ensures specs are met and provides a sharing link, the secure link. Data keys allowed for standard data processing procedures. Quadient Inspire automation and approval allow for automated approval process using the sharing URL, and automated delivery of all deliveries to Postal One via mail.dat. And ES actually forms the key links between the images and the job info, as well as the approval, and makes the automated delivery possible. So it was really a core factor in this workflow. And what do we have as a result? So before, it was basically like one unskilled worker manually changing each tire. It was totally manual process. Each package would take about 1 to 3 hours to upload. And what we call the package, what we actually call a package is one segment of the job that mails together. So there can be many packages per job. So this was really time consuming. And it was actually taking 2 full-time people just to manage the process. And this was before the larger volumes that the promotion generated came into play. So what do we have now after? It's like having an F1 pit crew change all 4 tires in 1.91 seconds. And yes, that is the new record. An F1 pit crew changed all 4 tires in 1.91 seconds recently. So that is amazing. But we're able to handle the larger volumes. We actually sent nearly 200 million informed delivery mail pieces were processed by IWCO Direct during the postal promotion. About 7.3% of the total volume done in the USPS promotion. It's no upload time at all. It's freeing up those 2 team members to do more significant work, and the accuracy is actually increased. So it isn't every day that you can save so much time and effort while actually increasing accuracy and reducing risk. And if you need to contact me, I'm available at jen.weinberg@iwco.com. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jen. That was very, very informative. Now we're going to go into a Q&A session. So we have a couple of questions here for both Marty and Jen. So Marty, in terms of this Print Drives America initiative, how is that funded?
Well, primarily donations, and those donations come from printers. They come from vendors to the printing industry, and they come from the end users themselves. So there's a combination. And in addition, we have an annual Franklin event, which is under the auspices of Print Drives America. And the proceeds of that event come to Print Drives America. That event is scheduled for December 4th, 2020 this year. We had to postpone it as most of them, but that's basically the donations, and the events are the main forms of funding.
Are any of the trade associations involved at all?
Well, I am technically part of Printing Industry Alliance, and that has just merged, or the PIA, Printing Industries of America, and SGIA has just merged, yet to be named. But yes, the print organizations are involved, and we work pretty well with each other. You're probably familiar with the European, the Two Sides, which is more paper and environment, but we share all our research, we share all our tools, and it's readily available.
And does the, I mean, the Print Drives America is focused on the US. Does it extend beyond the US borders at all?
Graham, to be quite honest with you, 2 years ago when we started and we stood in front of a group of people at a press conference, it seemed a little ostentatious to talk about Print Drives the World. So we decided on Print Drives America. It is, print, as you know, is everywhere, and in some places more prominent than the U.S., and some places less. But there's many initiatives, maybe not by the same name, going on around the world. And whenever those people ask for help, we give it to them readily. And we also share our research and our speeches and everything else, tools and so forth with them as well.
All right. So Jen, I have a question for you. Related to the Informed Delivery promotion. So you were talking about the fact that the U.S. Postal Service offered a promotional period and a 2% discount to anybody that signed up for it. If that's come and gone, is this something that you continue to offer as a service, or were they purely motivated by that 2%? Hello, Jen?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, sorry.
Yes, that's all right. I had a little trouble with my headset.
Okay.
Yes, the service is still offered, and in fact, I think they're going to start another promotion shortly. And customers have actually continued to utilize it without the discount in place because the return on investment has been so worthwhile. So it's been a highly successful program, and I believe the USPS is planning another promotion to continue their success with it.
Yeah, you did sort of explain how each of the systems are doing part of the process, all the systems that you integrated, but specifically, how are you using ES to check the approval status in your Aspire approval system?
So that was a little bit of a tricky bit, but we use a script step that calls a Python script that is able to use API calls to Inspire to check the status, and it brings back a flag and says either yes, it's either new or it's available to be updated, or nope, you shouldn't be updating that. It's in a state that shouldn't be overwritten at this time. And then ES pulls in that into the metadata as a flag and says, yep, it's good to go, or nope, it needs to stop here.
So, okay, so here's another question for you. I mean, we've talked about the fact that, print is still relevant. It's still part of the marketing mix today, and it should be promoted much more than it is doing. And the reason for the Printing Drives America, but just give us an outline of, in terms of the press operators that you have at IWCO Direct and the number of developers or programmers, what sort of numbers are we talking about?
Right. If you don't count IT, we actually have about one programmer for 3 press operators, so not quite as many as Marty had described, but we do have a lot of press operators. We're in the neighborhood of 300 press operators. So
yeah, so it's talking about IWCO's mix of output devices. What sort of devices are you predominantly using? Is it mainly digital?
We have changed to be primarily digital at this point, and highly variable digital continuous would be our largest volume, but we still do a wide variety of other types of print as well.
So do you still do any web offset, sheet fed, traditional offset, or is it all digital now?
Yes, all of the above.
All right, okay. One more question for you, Marty. The Printing Drives America initiative, I mean, there's a lot of material that's going to get produced. Is that freely available for people to use as part of their own campaigns?
Yes, the ads that you saw as part of my presentation, as well as direct mail formats, posters, speeches, etc., are all available, and they all can be personalized. So we give people the files upon request. You don't have to be a member. There's no cost for them. we want them used. So if somebody wants a file on the 4 ads, for example, that I showed, they can get them. And down in the bottom, there's room for them to put in their name, contact logo, contact information, etc. So it is being widely done and widely used. And yes, all those tools are readily available for the asking.
All right, thank you. Quick question, Jen. I mean, given the fact that you're a direct mailer and you're doing a lot of print for, I would say, fairly secure information related to either health insurance or financial information.
Yes.
So I guess there are a number of compliance requirements, HIPAA being one, certainly in the US, but how does that impact or affect your ability to expose systems like ours to your clients?
It makes it a little tricky, but DALIM has a very secure method of allowing clients to access the tool without accessing IWCO systems.
Okay.
We have to find ways like that to make it possible for clients to have access securely. It's always a challenge.
And you know, in terms of bringing that time to market down and reduce cycle times and approvals, what's the adoption like? How do you find getting your clients involved in actually interacting with your different systems? Is it a challenge? Are they not interested? Would they rather just pick up a phone and email something?
If you can demonstrate the benefits, they're often willing, but sometimes that can be a little bit of a slow change process.
Okay.
Even just digital print is new to a lot of these clients, so we're slowly moving them in that direction. Almost all of them do use our approval tool now, and we're getting more interest in actually using DALIM's ES as well.
Excellent. All right, well, I think that's all of the questions that I have. I'd just like to thank Carol, Marty, and Jen for their time today. Excellent information, great presentations. And just a reminder for the audience, this concludes the first season of our online webinars, and we'll be starting up a season 2 with a different branding coming up soon. So please stay tuned for that. And I'd just like to thank our panelists and thank everybody for taking time today to get on board, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you. That concludes the webinar.
Everyone stay healthy.